Get your man the flute to play song, the fuck.
Which everyone, Gimme Tashiv, and welcome back to episode number 80 something. I don't know, 80 something, lads, of the Inline G Flute podcast with me, your host, motherfucking Inline G. Mwah. And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, and all in between. It's just me again, just me and my lonesome. And all in between are welcome here. I see how Donald Trump has just got rid of every other gender apart from male or female. Fuck. We're only 2 days into that presidency, but here, only 4 years left to go, lads. We're on the home stretch. You're all welcome over here, lads. You can come over to Germany anytime. But it is just me on my own this week, no more guests. We'll have guests in the future, of course, don't worry. I've got some big ones planned, but I'm really enjoying this time, just me and you and a load of shite to talk about. You can't be bad to it. So, it's just me, just Inline G, the nominee, but not the winner, sadly, of Flute Advocate of the Year 2024, which was a robbery. It was a disgrace. It was a fucking joke. That's what it was. These awards, we all know they're decided in the dingy corners of pubs with brown envelopes exchanging hands. It shouldn't be exchanged, and it's corruption at the highest level. I'm joking. Right, for those of you who don't know, by the way, Flute Almanac, who I'm sure you guys have seen online if you're a flute person. If not, they're like an online resource for everything flute. They're doing an amazing job, especially for how much work that has to go into that to keep that updated. They launched an award series this year called Global Flute Awards. The Global Flute Awards. Different categories. Teacher of the Year, Performer of the Year, all that kind of stuff. And the way it works was it was open nominations, and then they would select their 3 finalists, and then their jury would decide the winner of it. And I was nominated for Flute Advocate of the Year, which really touched me to be nominated for it. A few of you have messaged me to say you did nominate me for it, and it was amazing. And I'm not going to lie, lads, I thought I was going to fucking win. Alright? I thought I was in the bag, and I was fucking raging when I didn't win. I was so angry. I have no decorum whatsoever when it comes to these things. I was in a foul mood when I did not win that award. Because I'm telling you, I should have won it. I've got all kinds of people listening to this podcast. There's people listening to this podcast that shouldn't be listening to this podcast, that have no fucking business listening to a flute podcast. You should see the numbers in this, lads, by the way. The numbers we're getting in these podcasts now are unbelievable. Like thousands a week are tuning into this fucking podcast, and most of them are not even flute players or musicians. They just tune in because they love to hear me talk shite. And I'm now doing it on a semi-professional basis. Fuck's sake. So anyway, I think I should be getting Flute Advocate of the Year because I promoted the flute way outside the flute world. So many people have found out about the flute now because of me. So I feel like I should have fucking got it. But anyway, I can't bitch about it. I'm a bad loser, lads. I'm a terrible loser. And I was disappointed, but here, honestly, the right people won probably. The problem is you can't let this podcast win shit, because if you let this podcast win shit, it sets a precedent. This podcast swears way too fucking much. It talks about topics we definitely shouldn't be talking about. We talk about the Palestinian conflict. We talk about LGBTQ plus rights. We talk about mental health. We're all pro everything here. And the powers that be don't like that. It takes a brave person to support this podcast. That's why sponsors go running with their wee tails between their legs as soon as I mention the word Palestine. But here, that award was a thing of the people as well. So it was their loss. I would have had a party. I had a party planned if I was going to win. The results came out on a Friday. I had a party planned. I had not champagne, Prosecco. I'm not made of fucking money. Podcast doesn't pay that well, lads. I had Prosecco ready to party. We were going to fucking paint our Cologne City purple that night. And then I thought the results would be out in the morning when I woke up, but then I remembered it's an American award, so they probably came out a few hours later. I was actually on a date when the awards came in, and I was a little bit drunk. And I had to pretend that I wasn't absolutely fucking devastated. Oh, I did say to the girl, I was obviously like, oh, sorry, I went a bit quiet. I was nominated for an award that I didn't get. And I tell you what, lads, didn't fucking work. Not only did I not win the award, I had a fucking terrible date. I got ghosted. But also, by the way, on that thing about the awards, they give the list out of the people nominated, and they put Gareth Houston, Inline G podcast, and then in brackets, Germany for the country. Now, I know I live in Deutschland, but do I look fucking German to you? Do I sound German to you? This is the most Irish man in Ireland, alright? Fucking disgrace, alright? German, how dare you? How absolutely dare you? I wouldn't take it. Someone actually once contacted me to put my name on a list, like a directory of flute players in different countries, and they wanted to use that different emojis for what language you spoke, and they used the British flag for speaking English, and I was like, fucking change that. You're not putting a British flag beside my name. Not after all I've been through recently. You put an Irish flag, alright? That's what they did in Brussels, and it's good enough for me. In case you didn't know, in case you hadn't worked it out, I'm Irish. But anyway, lads, it's not the first time in my life I've not lost, or not won, okay? If you listen to the podcast episode with my mother, actually, you'll know that always the bridesmaid, never the bride around here. Even as a kid, I lost everything. I lost most flute competitions. I finished second. I never won anything. I always got second. Football, I won. Football, I was good at. Actually, do you know, recently, I read that this is a good question to ask on dates, and it's not, by the way. It's a fuck. If you're going on dates right now, don't ask this question. It's a fucking terrible idea. But a good question, apparently, is to ask, if you could relive any day of your life, what would it be? Now, I didn't ask to date this, thankfully, because I thought, that's terrible. For a first date? Jesus Christ. Just talk about the Power Rangers and fuck off. So I waited until after the date, and then I met some friends and I asked them. But my one would definitely be, when I was 11, there's a thing in the north of Ireland called the 11 plus. It's gone now, but it used to be a test that you did. The whole country did the same test when you were 11, and the grade you got would dictate what secondary school you could go to or what high school you could go to. So because all high schools in Northern Ireland or the north of Ireland are state funded, there's no private schools, there's no more money you can pay. It's all a flat rate, or I think maximum like €50 a year is your fees. You do this 11 plus, and if you get an A, so the results are A, B1, B2, C1, C2, D in that order. If you get an A, you can go to grammar school, and grammar schools are designed to try and get you into third level education, to get you ready for university if you want to do academia. So the smart schools, in inverted commas. So anyway, I was waiting on the results this Saturday. They were all getting delivered, we knew it, and I was getting the phone calls from my friends at 9 o'clock in the morning. I got this, I got that, and I hadn't got my fucking results yet. And I was waiting nervously, my man and dad. And then we're like, we're going to have to go find this postman because you've got a football match at 11. You need to find this postman. So we drove around the village and we found the postman, and he gave us the results, brought them back home, opened it up, an A. Which would be a no surprise to you lot. You know, I'm not just handsome, I'm smart as fuck as well. We got an A and we're like, right, get in that car, get down to the football pitch. When we went down, I was playing for a team called First Mackergall at the time. And it was the last game of the season, and we were playing the team who was joint top of the league with us, second Lisburn, who my dad used to play for, in the big derby game, and whoever won that game won the league. Now, you might find this hard to believe, ladies and gentlemen, and all in between of the Inline G podcast, but I wasn't the most sporty child, and I love football, but I can't play it to save my fucking life. So my position with First Mackergall was substitute. I waited on the bench, and then our manager, or our coach, in the last 15 minutes, said, Gareth, you're going on. And I go, where am I playing, Glenn? And he'd say, you're playing in left wing. And I go, where's that? Where's that? And he goes, see over there? And I went, aye. And he went, you stand there. And if the ball comes to you, you kick it that way. And I went, dead on. Don't worry about me. So I go in, corner, ball drops dead in front of me, in the muck, right down there. And it's 1 foot away from the goal line. And there's no goalkeeper. That's right in front of me. Open goal, 1 foot. And I just fucking toe it. And it goes right into the back of the net. And then I run away and I'm doing the airplane. I'm going, woo! I'm doing the airplane down the sidelines. After the match, we won 2-0, won the league. All the boys threw the water over me. Then my mum takes me out to buy my first proper phone. It was a Sharp GX10. This is obviously pre-iPhone. I'm showing my age. And then we got chips for dinner that night. You tell me that isn't the best fucking day ever. Who wouldn't want to relive that? So I always got second, lads, apart from in football, where, part of the team. But when I did get second, which has even been in recent years where I haven't got auditions or got things I'd want to get, I console myself like I do with most things in my life with School of Rock. So if you haven't seen School of Rock, fucking disgrace, but I'm sure you all have. And there's that bit where they don't win Battle of the Bands. And does anyone know who does win it, by the way? Bonus points if you do. No vacancy with Spider. You're so hot. Are you warm? So anyway, they don't win the show. The School of Rock don't win. They're backstage and they announce they don't win. And Jack Black's character is like, oh, damn, no. And then Freddie, the drummer, he's like, dude, what's up? Rock ain't about getting an A. The Sex Pistols never won anything. And I'm like, yes, Freddie, you're right. Rock isn't about getting an A. The Sex Pistols didn't win anything. One great rock show can change the world. One big flute podcast can change the world. Now, all this got me thinking. There was no financial gain from winning Innovator of the Year. And a lot of these awards, they're just a brilliant idea to acknowledge things outside the kind of established performing competitions. And by the way, I'm joking. They are an amazing award things, and the people who won are brilliant, okay? If you don't realise that there's a lot of sarcasm and irony in this podcast, you're in the wrong fucking podcast, I tell you. But the performing competitions, they have big money. Now, you might be like me here. I actually didn't know exactly how many flute competitions there are, how often they are, how much money they go, how many prizes there are, all that kind of stuff. I'm sort of aware of it. You know, I know what Kobe is, I know what Nielsen is, I'm aware of it, but I don't know all the details. And I hear about them like, oh yeah, I know, but I just pretend to. But I don't know all the details. Maybe you don't either, because there's too fucking many of them. But don't worry, as always, I'm here. I've done the donkey work, as per fucking usual. This episode took ages to write, by the way. I was sitting all day with that fucking Pomodoro thing where you have to work for 25 minutes and then break for 5 with the Slytherin common room in the background just to make me concentrate. It took me 3 hours to write this episode, lads, just to do the research. It was an absolute bollocks. But what I've done is I've taken the top 10 flute competitions in the world based on the biggest first prize money, and I've ranked them from 10 to 1. So you're going to get the details and the history of each one, as well as the current holders, where it is, how much it costs to enter, which is also an important thing, all in one place. Why? Because it's about fucking time we all learn this and stop pretending we all know it. So you listen to this one podcast and you can tell everybody you know everything. There you are. So let's get started. So we're going to be going from 10 to 1 for the ones I found. If I've left one out, please tell me, because this is hard to find the information on. But in 10th place, we have the Cluj International Music Competition. So when is it? It is every 2 years. It started in 2011 for flute. Usually it's flute and clarinet until 2019. It will be back. The next one will be in 2025. So there was 1 year where I think it wasn't on. I can't find any information in 2023. So there was no flute that year. A lot of these competitions, by the way, don't have flute every year. It'll be different instruments each year. So where is Cluj International Music Competition held? Cluj-Napoca is in Romania. It's actually where Dracula's from. All right, it's in Transylvania, which is so fucking cool. I only remember that because Chelsea used to play Cluj in the Champions League like every fucking week. And they used to do a whole video intro with Dracula in it. And it's in the Dima Music Academy over in Cluj-Napoca. Now, the age, this one's quite generous. In 2025, you can be up to the age of 35 years of old if you want to compete in the competition. Now, the prize, they actually haven't announced it yet, which is why this one is in 10th place, because they haven't announced it. But they have just said that the total prize funds for flute and clarinet is going to be around about 25,000 euros. So then, if you're working that out, you're thinking 6,000 each for the winners, 3,000 for second place, 1,000 for third place, a couple of special prizes. There's your 25 grand. So I'm assuming we're talking in and around 6, 7, 8,000 euros for the winner in first place. Now the cost to enter, it's 70 euros to apply, and if you get into the first round, it's 130 euros. Now the current holders. Last time in 5th place from Korea, we had Hee-won Han. From Italia, in 4th place, we had Lucas Spangolo. In 3rd place from Poland, we had Tomasz Sierant. 2nd place from Russia, Elizaveta Ivanova. You're going to hear her name a lot today. And the winner last time, the 1st place, went to Yuan Yu from China. So there you are, guys. That's a 10th. Now, in 9th place for the biggest prize money is the Krakow International Flute Competition. Now this one's held every 4 years, and it's been running since 1999. The last one was in 2023, and the next one is in 2027. Now it's held in Krakow in Poland at the Krzysztof Penderecki Academy of Music. Now a lot of you might know Krakow for other reasons. It's not far from where Auschwitz was, which I don't know why I'm laughing at that, but that's what it's known for. And it's also a really popular destination for British stag do's. A lot of people go there because it's very cheap alcohol, which is maybe why I'll enter this competition. But I can't, because the age limit is up to 30. And we'll get to that later. Now the prize is, third prize will get you 10,000 zloty, Polish zloty, which is about 2,500 euros. Second prize will get you 20,000 zloty, which is about 5,000 euros, just under it. And the first prize is 40,000 zloty, which is about 9,500 euros. Now euros and dollars are pretty much 1 to 1, okay? So take from that what you will. And then pounds, you know what to do. Now, there is also other things. There's a special prize for the best performance of the Penderecki Concerto, because they obviously do that. And there is a flute one. It's brilliant. The winner will also get a professional recording session at the Academy, and they're getting professional level flute from Yamaha. I don't know what that means, to be honest, what level that means, but that's what's on the website. It costs €160, roughly, to enter the competition, and the current holders... Oh, God, I'm going to make a mess of this, lads. I'm really sorry about this, but the third place was Albert Georgivari. It's a Hungarian name, lads. I've got no chance of getting that. I'm sorry, Albert, if you're listening, that's my bad. 2 is Daniel Michikowski. That looks sad. I think I did a good job on that one. And first place was from earlier, Thomas Sirant from Poland. So, next 3 in the list, we're going to go to 8, 7, and 6. They're all joint here, by the way, lads. They've all got the same amount of first place prize money, so I've ranked them on different criteria and whatever came first when I googled it, because I'm a lazy bastard. In 8th place for the biggest flute competitions in the world, we have the International Flute Competition Guangzhou, formerly the Beijing Nicolet International Flute Competition. Okay, so you might have known it from that name. It changed a wee while ago. It's now the International Flute Competition Guangzhou. Now, when is it? It's every 4 years as well. Always like a World Cup. That's what makes it think of every 4 years like a World Cup, or the Olympics. But fuck the Olympics. It's like a World Cup. And it's since 2006, which means it runs in World Cup years, so it's easy to remember. 2006, 2010, blah, 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 blah. Now, it's named after Nicolet, as in Henri Nicolet, because he was a big fan of China. I'm sure you guys will read a lot about this. He did a lot of recitals and recordings out in China. A lot of his recordings were released in China. He was a big deal over there. Where? Guangzhou, naturally. It used to be in Beijing, naturally. The age limit is 32 last time. Okay? Now, the prize is, 4th prize will get you €2,000. 3rd place will get you €4,000. 2nd place would get you €6,000, and the winner would get €10,000. Now, there are some extra prizes for different things from different sponsors, usually valued at about £500 to £1,000 or so. Now, there's no mention in this one of any guaranteed recording gigs or management deals. That's very important to know. I'm sure you do, but there's nothing guaranteed or at least mentioned on their website for prizes. Now, the cost to enter the competition, €50 for your pre-screen, and if you're accepted for the first round, it's another €100. Now, the holders, 2 joint third prizes was Nicolo Valerio from Italia, Hualin Jia from China, and then the second in joint place was Pablo Alcantara and Iker Zayas, both from España, and then the winners joint were Gaia Bergamaschi and Anna Komarova. Anna is from Russia and Gaia is from Italia. So there we are. It is important to tell you the costs as well. I think you don't appreciate how many people apply for these competitions. These costs go a long way to funding it. Although most of the money, you can check out the sponsors, most of the money comes from flute companies, government subsidies. This is why a lot of them are in Europe as well, and some private donors. Okay, the 7th most expensive flute competition in the world is the Maxence Larieux. The Concours made the balls of that. The Concours International Maxence Larieux. Or the English one is Maxence Larieux International Flute Competition. So when is it? Every 4 years, like a World Cup. But it started in 2007, then 2011, 2015, 2019, and they changed the last one to 2024 as a wee treat because that was the year of his 90th birthday. Maxence still going. Where is it? Well, Maxence is from Marseille, but it's actually not held in Marseille. It's in Nice, but Nice is very, very, very handy to Marseille. So, 6 to 1, half a dozen of the other there, lads. It's all the same shit down there. And that's me banned from another competition. The age limit for this one, for 2024, it was anyone born after the 1st of January 1992. So it was 32 or younger, basically, for the last one. Now, the prizes. 4th place will get you $2,000 and a free overhaul in Geneva for your flute, valued at €1,400. So a complete overhaul for your flute for free from Flutissimo, I think it is, in Geneva. 3rd place will get you €4,000 and a Yamaha Piccolo. I don't know if it's the good one or the shite model. Well, not shite. Yamaha are always good, but you know what I mean. 2nd place will get you €6,000 and a Manca wooden head joint, which is worth €2,500. And the winner, which is class here now, they get €10,000. They get a CD recording with the Edition Chantoninos, and they get a Pearl Alto flute valued at €4,000. Now that's a sweet price set, lads. Now it costs you 135 smooth euros to enter that competition. And the current holders. In 4th place, we had Federico Altare. 3rd place, Tommaso Gaeta. 2nd place, Bianca Maria Fiorito. And in 1st place, Yulin Chung. Now, I believe 2nd, 3rd, and 4th, they're all Italian. Italia, and the winner was American, I believe. Nobody's perfect. Now, in 6th place, big one. Big one coming in here now. the Prague Spring International Music Competition. So it's every 2 years. It's been running since 1947. And every year, it runs annually. Or sorry, every 2 years. It doesn't run annually. I just said 2 years. Every 2 years, it's 2 instruments per competition. So it rotates. So the flute is not every year. It's only every couple of years. The flute's actually only been there 13 times. And the last one was actually recent. Oh, no, it's back in 2026. That's the next one. The next one's 2026. Now, it's part of the same festival, the Prague International Music Festival, Spring International Music Festival, which is held in May, obviously in Prague. So it's over in Prague, in Czechia, not the Czech Republic. We've changed that name in 2018. Czechia. The age is 30 years old, maximum you can enter. And the prizes, so third and fourth, isn't it? Yeah. Will get 100,000 Czech krona, which is about €4,000. Second place will get 150,000 Czech krona, which will get you about 6,000 euros. And the winner will get 250,000 Czech krona, which will be about 10,000 euros. Now, also important to remember, not all the websites point this out, but a lot of them do. These are taxable. Your prizes are taxable, and you have to pay tax on them. So I don't know how much the tax would be. Depends on the country's tax rate and how much money you earn in the country, blah, blah, blah. There's a lot of things. But you can expect between 10 and 30% of that money to be getting taxed. So don't get too hyped on it now, lads. It's not as great as it sounds, sometimes. I can't believe they're taxing it. Surely you would do a post-tax net. But anyway. Now, the winner of this this competition, they do get something else. They do get a guaranteed paid gig at a future Prague International Spring Music Festival, which is usually the year after they get it. And the more engagements are offered. Now, this year, apparently, for next competition, the more engagements that are offered are still under negotiation. So the list is not, but from the last time, it's pretty extensive. You get a lot of work out of this, a lot of prestigious gigs, which are going to really set your career going. And the Prague Festival is massive. Like, it's a massive festival. Some of the best orchestras in the world come, some of the best conductors and soloists. It is massive. Okay, it's really, I cannot tell you how big that festival is. And the cost to enter the competition, I'll set you back, just €50. Which is not bad going, lads, I'm not going to lie. Now, the last time the Flute was there was 2019. And from third place, we had Niamh McKenna from Ireland. Big up. Woo, woo, woo. Robbed. I didn't even watch it, but she was robbed. In second place, we have Yuan Yu from China. Also joined with Anna Talakova from Czechia, local girl. And the winner was Cheon Yu from South Korea. What a year. Now, fifth place. You're going to know all these ones now, lads. The fifth most expensive flute competition in the world is the ARD International Music Competition. Now, ARD. Oh, I can't switch to Deutsch today. ARD. Not to be confused with the AfD. Very different people with very different ideas. You might have been reading about the AfD. They're not nice. They're the bad guys. They're kind of like Trump, but worse, and they're German. They're a hard right political party here. Don't get them confused like I do all the fucking time. So the ARD is kind of like the BBC of Germany. It's the mummy of all the German broadcasters. So it's like an umbrella group. It used to be just the West German broadcasters. Now it's everything. And it's an umbrella group of all the local radio and television channels. Okay? Now I'm going to try to pronounce this word. That is what ARD stands for. I speak German, lads. I work in German. And even I'm going to make a fucking mess of this. So the ARD stands for Arbeitsgemeinschaft der öffentlich-rechtlichen Rundfunkanstalten der Bundesrepublik Deutschland. Jesus Christ. With chips and mayonnaise in that place. So they're the umbrella group, and then all the local companies belong to them. For example, in my region here in Köln, we have the WDR, the West Deutschland Funkhaus, I think it's called that. WDR is the local one for Cologne and Köln, that area. So they're all part of the ARD. Now, the ARD's music competition is specifically run by BR, which is Bayerisch Rundfunk, which is the area of Bavaria. So it's held down in Munich. They're the ones that cover the event. They're the local version that cover it. Now, it's annually. It's every year, this competition. It is massive. It is a really big deal in Germany. Like, it's really big. But the instruments change every year. So it's not the flute every year. The flute's only been a few times. Now, as far as I can see, first time was the year 2000, where there was no winner. It was a joint second place for Rosalia Sabo and Henrik Wiese. In 2004, Magani Monnier won. I knew I'd squeeze her name in somewhere in this podcast. In 2010, Loic Schneider won. 2015, Sebastian Jacko. And 2022 was Yubin Kim. We don't know when the next Flute one's going to be, but it's not this year. It's not 2025. Now, the last time the age was between 16 and 31. And the prize money, third place would have got you €5,000. Second place gets you €7,500. And first place gets you €10,000. So the first place, that's a 3 there join at 10,000. But there are a lot of bonus prizes in this one, like a lot. And they're usually between €1,000 and €5,000 each. And the winners get invited to do live performances with all the various ARD broadcasters. There's a load, I think there's 17 regional television networks and radio networks with them. You get a lot. And there's a list of institutions that will try to book you, or may book you, it says. The list is massive, and it is like famous, world famous museums across Europe, fucking institutions, concert halls, you name it, they're on it. Like some big thing. The Louvre is on there, it's that kind of people. Now, the holders of the ARD at the minute for the Flute, last time was 2022. Third place, we had Leonie Virginia Bumüller, who is Deutsch, German. Second, we have Mario Bruno. Mario's Italian, isn't he? Oh, I can't get that wrong. He's Italian. Probably. Mario, if you're listening and you're not Italian, I'm very sorry, but I think you are. And first was obviously Yubin Kim, as I said earlier, who we all know now. So next up, fourth place. But before that, okay, lads, now you know what's coming here. If you're a regular listener of the podcast, go ahead, skip away now. You know what's coming. But if you're new around here, if it's your first time listening to Inline G, can you give me your ears for just a wee minute? The Inline G podcast is free, and it'll always be free. That's a guarantee. But if you wish to support the podcast, you can now do it through the Patreon. On the screen now is the address, and for the audio listeners, it is patreon.com/the Inline G Flute Podcast. The link's in the description as well. This podcast is the definition of a small independent podcast. I do everything around here. Script writing, audio production, video production, graphic design, marketing. I travel for guests. Every inch of this podcast is done by me, a man with no experience in podcasting or marketing or graphic design. A fucking idiot with a microphone. See when you see those adverts saying podcast microphones are too cheap? You're right. Well, they're not that cheap. That's why I need your help, but you shouldn't be giving them out like they are. But anyway, lads, basically, I'm going to be honest with you. Sponsors will not come on this podcast unless I do it in their terms by not speaking about certain things, not swearing, blah, blah, blah. It's very strict with them. I can't make money off sponsorship here. It's not going to happen. It's going to be a brave sponsor that wants to get involved in Inline G. So, the way I do it is get funded by you, the listener. And it's great because you guys fund the podcast. I make it for you. We can do this together. And I get paid for the work I do as an artist. This podcast is a lot of work, lads. I don't just pull this out of my hole every week. I have to work at this. It takes hours of writing scripts. I love it. This is my favourite thing in the world right now, this podcast. It's my baby, and it gives me reason to fucking, not to live, that's very dramatic, but it gives me a reason to get out of bed in the morning. I love this podcast, and I love yous for it. So, listen, here's the crack. If you can afford to donate to the podcast, it's €5 a month. Now, you'll get early episodes. You'll get a lot of input. I tend to ask my patrons for their advice on everything before I ask anyone else. You guys really matter to me. You'll get your own trading card, you get things like that. I'm trying to be as good as you can, but what you won't get is more episodes, because I do believe everyone should get the same episodes here, regardless of financial wealth, okay? So you're not going to get extra episodes, but here's the deal. You're paying to support the podcast if you can afford to do it. You get 4 episodes of this podcast every single Friday. That's a lot, alright? That's €1.25 an episode. Less than Netflix. And here, you can jump in and out of the podcast. You don't have to be there all the time. You can jump in for 1 month and then unsubscribe in the next month. That's totally fine to do. I do it all the time with podcasts, but it just means it's sponsored by you, the listener, and I can tell advertisers to go fuck themselves. So listen, if you can afford it, please sign up. It means the world to me. To get paid for my work as an artist means so much. But here, if you can't afford it, because you're an artist, because you're skint, there's a cost of living crisis, don't worry, it's grand. You can keep listening for free. Thank you very much, guys. Now, the 4th most expensive flute competition in the world. I'm surprised it's only made it to 4th in this list. Kobe International Flute Competition. So, Kobe is every 4 years. It's the year before the World Cup. Now, it started in 1985. Where is it located? In Kobe, which is on Osaka Bay in central Japan. It's a big city. Well, big by my standards, 1.5 million people. Obviously very famous for the beef. That's the other thing Kobe's known for, is its amazing, high grade, probably the best beef in the world. Beef and flutes. That could be the name of my autobiography. Beef and flutes and pints and smooching. No luck there. I shouldn't be talking about that in the podcast, but geez, lads, I'm having no luck on the dating. You'd think a man like me, wouldn't you? You'd think a man like me would be cleaning up around here. You think the girls would be baiting each other with a stick to get at me? They're not. I'll tell you that for free. Anyway, alright, I can't say that. One of them might be listening. Prize money. That's a joke, by the way, if you are listening. There's only one of you. Here, you know yourself. Prize money. Okay, so 4th to 6th place will get you 200,000 yen, which is just over €1,000. 3rd place will get you 500,000 yen, which is just over €3,000. 2nd place will get you 1,000,000 yen, which is just over €6,000. And the winner will get 2 million yen, which is just over €12,000. Now that is a fucking stupid amount of money. The cost to enter is about €120, 20,000 yen. Now it does say other gigs and recitals might be offered. They always are, but they're not guaranteed on the prize list, but they always are. And you're invited back to Japan quite a lot for at least a year or two. You're always back, okay? Nobody's ever not had them. Now, the current holders, it was held in... Okay, it was the 2021 competition, but it was held in 2022 because of our wee friend COVID. 6th place, we had Jody Bianco. I'm sure you guys all know her. I'm trying to get her on this podcast. From Venezuela. Anna Komarova was in 5th. From Russia. Mariana Julia Zonach from Poland was in 3rd. Ishiki from Japan was in 3rd as well, joint 3rd. And then 2 joint winners, Mario Bruno from Italia, and of course, my wee mate, Rafaela Dobas-Bayog, who's been on this podcast from España. They joined for 1st. We talked a lot about the episode with Rafael as well. He's a great lad. Go watch that episode. Fucking hell. But I'm amazed. I thought Kobe would have been number 1. For me, it feels like number 1 in the flute competitions, but there you are. It's maybe the biggest uniquely flute competition. It is. Yeah, I'm looking at the other ones. It's the biggest uniquely flute competition. But it's not the best paying. Because in number 3rd, we have, number 3, the Concours de Genève, which is the Geneva International Music Competition. Now, Geneva's every 2 years. Every year. It's every year, but 2 disciplines are chosen. So it's not flute every year. Covers a lot of instruments. Flute has been... I think it's only been there 5 times. So 1961, 73, 92, 01, and 23. Now, to give you an idea of the winners, 1961, Michel Debost won it. 1973, Kono Toshiko, who is principal flute of the National Symphony Orchestra in the USA. She won it. By the way, Americans, stop saying the National Symphony Orchestra and assuming that everyone thinks it's your national... That's such fucking American thing again. I know I went on a rant about them last week. I saw a post about the National Symphony Orchestra and I was going, what, of Ireland? Like, no, of course, America. And you're like, well, it's not, of course. All right? It's not, of course. The National Symphony Orchestra in the USA. Anyway, 1992 was the next one, and Emmanuel Bau won him. You might have heard of him. 2001 was Sylvia Caradu, and then the next one was 2023, where Elizaveta Ivanova, you've heard her name already, she picked up the trophy. Now, it was held in Geneva, obviously. The age limit last time was only 29. It's a wee bit older for singers. I think it's 32 for singers, but for instrumentalists, it's only 29. Now, second prize will get you €12,000. First place, you will win €20,000. What the fuck? Now, there's loads of other prizes between 1 and 10,000. To give you an idea, Ivanova, because of all the different prizes she won last time, her total prize money was €34,500, which is making me cry. That is so much money, man. That is so much money. And you also get a 2-year management deal with Sartori Artists in Switzerland and an international concert tour for 2 years. All as part of the prize. That is hallucinatory stuff. And it's only number 3 on the list, lads. Only number 3. Now, it costs you €250 to enter for the privilege. And the holders, as I said, Elizaveta Ivanova won, and second place was Mario Bruno. 2 names that are popping up a lot. 2 class flute players, man. Now, the second most expensive flute competition in the world is the Carl Nielsen International Music Competition. When? Honestly, I'm not really sure, lads. I'm not really sure how often it is. I thought it was every 4 years. Sometimes it's 5, sometimes it's 3. The flutes came in 1998. I don't know. The last one was in 2002, and there doesn't seem 2022. Sorry, and there's no announcement on the next one, so I don't know. It's usually for flute, clarinet, and violin. It is for flute, clarinet, and violin because they're all instruments that Carl Nielsen wrote a concerto for, and they play the concerto in the final. Now, it's held in Odense in Denmark. Age limit is you have to be under 30 on the first day of the competition. So if you have your birthday during it, happy days. Prize money. Third place will get you €7,500. Second place will get you €10,000. First place, you get 25,000 euros. And you get a recording deal with Orchid Classics, where you do an album with the Odense Symphony Orchestra, which is worth 13,000 euros in itself. And you're offered quite a few solo gigs with top Nordic orchestras, so Switzerland, Denmark, Finland, and Norway. Unbelievable. It'll cost you 100 quid to enter, which is not much. And the current holders, third place, were Alberto Alcuna and Mela, who I would love to get in this podcast as well. Alberto, if you're listening, I love you. Second place was Seeing Kim, and the winner was Alberto Navarra, who has also been in this podcast from Italia. Go check out that episode. So, you probably all know which one's number one now. It's the last one left. You might not have guessed this. It took me a wee while to sort of remember this one, because it wasn't famously a flute competition. But if you want to win the most money in the world by entering a flute competition, the place to do it is the International Tchaikovsky Competition. Now, the Tchaikovsky competition has been going every 4 years, but the woodwind section only came in 2019. It was formed in 1958 in the old USSR. And fun fact, does anyone know the first non-Soviet to win the first prize? I'll give you a wee minute. It was a pianist. There was no flute back then. It was in 1986. It was Barry Douglas, who is from Belfast, Belfast. Belfast repping it again, man. We are running this game. For a city of 1 million people, we are running it. We don't just make great podcasters and handsome devils who have no luck with women. We also make great piano players. So there you are, Barry Doug. I've seen the videos of it. I actually think, I didn't even research this, but I know this. He played Pictures at an Exhibition, and the video's still up by Mussorgsky. Oh, Barry's great, man. Unbelievable. Now, it's held in St. Petersburg every year. The age is 16 to 32, or 19 to 32 for singers. Now, the prizes, it's for categories. So you have piano, you have strings, you have woodwind. So if you're a flute player, you're going to compete in the woodwind section, obviously. If you finish between 4th and 6th, you will get 5,000, 3,000, or 2,000 euros, depending on which order. Third place will get you 10,000 euros. Runner-up will get you 20,000 euros. And the winner will get 30,000 euros. And I say that again, 30,000 euros. Now, there's also a grand prize, which is the winner of the entire competition from any category. Flute player has never won it, although we've only had 2 editions with the flute. But the last 2, to give you an example, 2019 was Alexandre Kontarov, who is the French piano player, who is amazing. And in 2023, it was Zinaida Sarenko, who is a Russian mezzo-soprano who is fiercely good. And fiercely attractive. I think I love her. Anyway, normally it costs you 200 euros to enter, but in 2023 they waived all entrance fees and they paid for airfares for anyone selected to go through to the final rounds, which is insane. We'll get to that in a minute. Now, the current holders, for the woodwind category, there were a couple of people in the top 3. Third place had a joint winner, one of them being a flute, which was Yi-Sung Kim. Second place also saw a flute appear as a joint, which was Anna Konarova, and the winner was a flute player, who I've been dying to get in this podcast too, and I've spoken to her, but she's an incredibly elusive woman. It's Sophia Wieland, who I've talked about so many times. I think she's the next big thing in flute playing. She's amazing. So that's it, lads. That's the winner. The Russians are paying the big bucks. Now listen, I would love to make a comment about how they're waiving fees and paying for international travel and upping their prize money to potentially gain favour within the international community. But as I'm saying that, I can see a red dot coming through my window, so I'm going to keep very, very quiet. So, technically speaking, you could enter that competition and walk away with 130,000 euros. 130,000 euros. Do you know what happened to me if you gave me 130,000 euros? I'd be dead. I'd be fucking dead. So now, lads, you know where it's all going. You know what's going on in the flute world. You know where the money is. You know where to go and sniff it all out. So remember, these competitions provide an amazing platform, and they do start careers. They really do. But they're not the be-all and end-all of music. It's impossible to measure art. We have to remember this. And I have such mixed opinions on whether these competitions should exist or not. I'm also not very happy about the age limit being in and around 30 for most of them. And it's not because I'm now 32 and officially too old, okay? It's not because of that. But it shouldn't be, okay? Who says your career starts at 30? Who says you're most talented at 30 or you're at your best moments? Bollocks. You know, if you were a footballer, you'd be in your prime. But anyway, you can see by the different names finishing in different places throughout that no one can definitively say that one of these players is better than the other. So it's not really a measure of who's better or who's worse. It can't be. It's not like sport. There's no measurable goals. There's no measurable outcomes. And especially at this level where all the players play in tune, they play in time, they play the right notes, they play the right dynamics, they play super fast, they've got perfect techniques, and they change colours and they're musical. All of them have that. Those are the measurable things. They all do that. So we can't do that. It's at this point, it's purely subjective who wins. Unless someone has a bad day and performs badly. But even then, it's one fucking bad day. So, the best indication of that, think of the amazing flute players at the minute who weren't on any of the lists I've said and who haven't won any of these competitions. It's incredible. You know, off the top of my head, when I was doing the full research for this, Gimme Galway was only once on one of the competitions, and that was second place in Prague, I think. That's it. Second place. You get fucking Gimme Galway. Second place. Obscene. So there you are. Imagine doing that. Imagine thinking there's a better flute player out there than Gimme. Because there wasn't, and there never will be. But listen, as I said earlier, School of Rock, it said, rock ain't about getting straight A's. The Sex Pistols never won anything, and Freddie is right. And they weren't the only ones either, lads. You know, I went through a list earlier of 35 artists that had been nominated for Grammys that never won. You see the names on this list. ABBA, nominated 5 times. The Arctic Monkeys, nominated 9 times, never won. Backstreet Boys, 8 times, never won. The Beach Boys, Bjork, Blake Shelton. Nah, that's fair enough. Bob Marley, never was even nominated. Brian McKnight, nominated 17 times. Busta Rhymes, he's shite, ignore that one. Chuck Berry, never nominated. Dean Martin, never won a Grammy. Demi Lovato, shouldn't win a Grammy. Diana Ross was nominated 13 times and didn't win. The Grateful Dead, shouldn't have won either. Guns N' Roses, shite, ignore that one. Jennifer Lopez, she in her dreams because she won a Grammy. Hendrix never won a Grammy. There you are, it's a good one. The Jonas Brothers, Over My Dead Body. Over My Dead Body. Well, the Jonas Brothers won a fucking Grammy. But anyway, Journey, one song, shouldn't get it anyway. Katy Perry, fair enough, that first album was banging, should have got a Grammy for that. Kiss never won a Grammy. Lana Del Rey, unsurprisingly, never won a Grammy. Martina McBride, Miley Cyrus, not surprised. Nicki Minaj doesn't deserve it. Notorious B.I.G. This list isn't great, lads. NSYNC never won a Grammy. Patti Smith never won a Grammy. Queen never won a Grammy. Nominated 4 times. Rush never won a Grammy. Nominated 7 times. Selena Gomez never won a fucking Grammy. Sia, fair enough. Snoop Dogg never won a Grammy. And the last one, the Spice Girls never won a Grammy. So there you are, lads. The Spice Girls didn't win a Grammy. So if they didn't win it, what fucking chance have you got? So, here. Was there a point to this podcast? I don't know. Is there ever? I don't know. Sometimes I just say one thing to get me from one sentence to the other. But was there a lesson to this podcast? You're fucking right, there was. Because if you want to be the teacher's pet, well, baby, you just better forget it. Because rock got no reason and rock got no rhyme. You better get me to school on time. Cheerio, everyone. I'll see you next week. Big hugs. Mwah.
Get your man the flute to play song, the fuck.
Been for crocky, hot the druids.